Hello, welcome to this update for the Survey weather. We just want to highlight some changes that we had the Survey weather. We had this slight risk for today, May 3rd. So shows the slight risk spots of South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia, as far north as New Hampshire, and spots in New York, Pennsylvania, to New Jersey as well. So be careful in those areas. There's this bigger margin risk goes all the way from Louisiana to southern Maine, so be careful. And there's this margin risk spots of Nevada into Idaho and Oregon too. So be careful those areas. There's 15% wind threat, especially there on the east. So be careful those storms, some damaging winds, and hail 15% down the east as well. So be careful. And wind, there's this 5% wind further west, and tornado threat, there's actually 2% in spots of Florida, and this other 2% from West Virginia to southernmost Maine. So be careful with that as well. There's strong to severe storms are possible this afternoon to the evening from parts of the Carolinas to the mid-Atlantic and northeast. An isolated severe threat may develop across the southeast and also across parts of the Great Basin. So be careful. Those areas still shows those storms there with the spots to the east. So let's see a little bit closer, northeast maybe, just east. So shows like more storms today also in Alabama, Tennessee, more spots in the Carolinas, those stronger ones North and South Carolina, those damaging winds more in Pennsylvania, West Virginia too. This goes and still shows some Sunday tomorrow in the Far East and some isolated ones in the afternoon as well. But those ones today will be stronger. So be careful. There's the Northeast shows a few storms in Maine, New Hampshire. This goes and shows those ones later in Pennsylvania, and then those areas still more rain tomorrow in the mid-Atlantic, some more rain and some storms around as well. So be careful. There's now a southeast maybe shows some storms in Florida, in the Panhandle, in Alabama and Georgia, might be some stronger ones. So be careful. And something we are watching for Monday, day 3, but especially Sunday afternoon in central southern Florida, some stronger storms. So especially like Sunday evening, spots of Florida, and yeah, so be aware. And but especially today there, that's light risk. Be careful. And let's just see if there's anything here. But I don't think that there's any tornado parameter today because it's quite low. But I showed like tiny, very minor spots of southern Alabama into Florida, but like barely nothing. So it shows later in the evening a parameter or two further southern Alabama, especially later, maybe before the Panhandle, but like barely nothing. But there's a 2% there, so be aware. And maybe a tiny finger or two spots of Pennsylvania, but nothing crazy. So be careful. Those areas there's until Sunday. The updraft Halisti shows those stronger storms, spots of northern Georgia as well, northern Alabama, and spots of Pennsylvania as far north as Maine. So be careful. Those storms for wind and hail too. So stay safe. There's here like northwest shows this afternoon spots in Nevada into Idaho, might be a few storms too. So be aware those areas. So especially this afternoon, it still shows some scared rain and snow tomorrow. That moisture across the southwest. So be careful those areas. And here shows like this is happening there because there's that low pressure later this weekend into next week, spot to the southwest that rain and snow, and there's this other low pressure in the Midwest and other spots there. And when there are these two troughs and sort of a high pressure in the middle, it's called an omega block. And we might have some moisture surging to parts of the mid-south and Texas for Monday's severe threat. Like there's this slight risk for day 3, and after that we'll see what happens. But there's this marginal risk in Florida for Monday, day 3. So those storms I showed you, and maybe some other ones later on Monday, and there's this light risk in Texas, and this marginal. There's an area of significant severe near Texas and northern Mexico, especially western Texas. So there might be some big hail there Monday, and some tornado threat and strong winds. So be careful. And there's Sunday, tomorrow, day 2, that we didn't even look at. There's this marginal risk in Texas and New Mexico, so be careful. This very wide marginal risk from Pennsylvania to Florida, so this one must, it accounts for those storms tomorrow evening that I showed you in the herd there, so be careful. Isolated strong to severe storms are possible along Florida East Coast into North Carolina, Virginia, Piedmont, and southwest Pennsylvania. Additional severe storms are possible across eastern New Mexico, so be careful in those areas for Sunday. So here there's a tornado threat in southern Georgia and Florida, so be aware there are a small tornado or two possible. And then shows like 5% wind in both areas. Be careful, and hail in both areas as well. Some hail, so be careful. And I showed you Monday, right? So stay safe. When this loads, I'll show you more things. But here for excessive rainfall, still shows this tiny marginal risk in New Mexico. Today, this marginal all the way from Louisiana to southern New Hampshire. So be aware of the rain. Those areas some heavy rain. Still for Sunday, heavy rain. The Mid Atlantic, New Mexico to Colorado. Day 3 for Monday, a slight risk in Texas already, and this marginal risk from Texas to Colorado, and still marginal risk in the Mid Atlantic. So day 2 Sunday, day 3 Monday. So day 4, there's already a moderate risk of excessive rainfall for Tuesday, day 4. So this is kind of far out and might get very, very heavy. So please, please be careful next week. Shows this light risk from Louisiana to Kansas, and this marginal in the northeast as well. So please be careful next week. Day 5 still a slight in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, and East Texas, and a marginal. And this marginal further New England later. And that moderate risk is because of this more than 5 inches of rainfall next 5 days, 5 to 7 days in spots of Louisiana and into Alabama and Mississippi, especially Louisiana, Mississippi, and East Texas. So please be careful. Uh, day 1 and day 2, today and Sunday shows more spots of the East Coast and Midwest, and on the West, those storms. Day 1 through 3 starts in northern Texas heavier, and some more on the East Coast. Day 1 through 5, crazy burst of rain next Monday and Tuesday across the South. Day 1 through 7 increases even more. So please be careful in those areas. And snow still some in the Rockies, those areas until day 5. So be aware too. And yeah, there's here like, let's see what else. There's this crit- critical fire risk for tomorrow. Day 2, today is fine, there's nothing crazy. But there's in New Mexico into Arizona, this elevated and critical tomorrow. So be careful those areas. And just to see here the her again for some cape, so it does show more today spots of the south, especially Alabama into Florida, more cape, but it shows some cape into the northeast to fuel some storms as well. In Florida, there's a lot of it. So yeah, be careful in those areas. And there's here like The European shows those storms on the east because that low pressure in the Midwest, those storms on the east, northeast, and the other trough in the southwest there, those other storms, especially Monday, this severe weather might get strong into Monday and Tuesday, and especially that burst of heavy rain next Tuesday and Wednesday in the south, and still by the end of next week. So be careful in those areas, and still shows here there's the European model for the rain has many areas more than 5 even to 6 inches in a spot or two there, and more rain through the northeast, 4 to 5 inches in those pink areas. So be careful. It does have snow here too, shows like especially in Colorado showing more snow next 5 days. Here especially to like 15 inches, the European has some 20 inches, 13 inches. There's some in Utah, some 8 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches, and some in northern Utah, especially even to 11 inches. Some in the Sierra Nevada in California, the spot or two in Nevada, some more in Montana into Idaho, Wyoming, possibly a little bit even, Arizona, New Mexico in the high in the high elevations. And here now in Canada shows more in Alberta, in western British Columbia, near the coast, and in those areas of northwestern territories might get some good snow there, more than 30 centimeters, more in Yukon, central northern Yukon, and southern Yukon. So be careful. Most of Nunavut might get snow next 5 days, and especially eastern Quebec into Labrador, more than 44 centimeters, and southeastern Quebec and northern Quebec and Labrador more snow. Maybe a tiny bit to the northern tip of Newfoundland, northern Ontario. So be aware the European is even more in Ontario and more in eastern Quebec, and especially northwestern territory. So stay safe. And Alaska might get some good snow too, especially in the south, more than 50 inches in some mountains, and some central Alaska and southern Alaska. So be careful. The rain too might be quite kind of heavier along the coast. So be careful. Shows uh, the wind, especially northern Mexico and the southwestern US. Be careful those wind gusts, stronger in the mountains in Mexico and the Baja, and spots of the southwest. This is already like Sunday afternoon. Some 4 is even close to 50 mile per gust. Some spots near the coast in California too, and a spot or two in Canada, slightly breezier, especially maybe northern British Columbia Sunday afternoon. This goes stronger in Hudson Bay, maybe Monday, and still like in the Rockies and the southwestern US and northern Mexico, some higher gusts. So be careful in Mexico too in those mountains. This goes still shows maybe northern Canada there, stronger winds late next week, and really gets strong maybe later in the Arctic. But be careful. And there's the snow already happening in Alaska, northwestern territories, and into Nunavut later, more spots there in Canada. So be careful. Still shows freezing rain in a spot or two next Tuesday in Ontario, maybe, and some snow. So stay safe. And the temperatures are still cold in northern Canada, those negative temperatures. The central south is already very mild, but this goes some days are even 26 degrees, but just north of it is very cold. And then this goes and still shows during the night some spots in Ontario as far south as southern Manitoba, some active temperatures for Alaska, cold as well. In the Rockies, in the US, those 20s teens. But in the south, in Florida, some A is 90s, especially here if you put Fahrenheit, even 92. Southern Texas, some other A is 70s, in some areas into next week, especially later next week in the southwest. And yes, so be aware those areas and stay safe. Just one more thing, today, Saturday afternoon in eastern Mexico, some stronger storms. There will be even severe storm or two. So let me see. Unas tormentas más fuertes en México esta tarde, día 3. Y día 4, así, más tormentas en algunas zonas de México. Y aún después, así, semana que viene. Good, so be careful. The Caribbean's quite rainy still, especially the east frozen next week and even this weekend. Some more showers. Cuba, Españolas, some showers and thunderstorms. So still shows here like around 5 days, especially Dominican Republic, some spots to 70 millimeters. Puerto Rico still some 68, 71 next Friday. So be aware there might be some heavier days. Spot the northeastern Caribbean still shows more, and some in the southeastern Caribbean too. More rain spots the southern Caribbean near Venezuela as well next 5 days, especially Panama and Costa Rica, those tropical downpours in Panama. So be aware some showers, occasional thunderstorms, the rest of Central America. But the Yucatan is still dry and very, very hot. So be careful, like nearly to 100 Fahrenheit. But that's like some 39 degrees Celsius, some 38, even 40 some valleys. There's even western Mexico, so be aware. Still shows kind of colder during the night in the Cordilleras, but much warmer those spots, the Yucatan into southern Mexico, even northern Mexico during the day, in Central America. So be careful those areas. And yeah, the rest of the folks are still some good temperatures in the Caribbean, but Mexico like very hot into next week. So stay safe from the heat. And talking about tropical updates, later into mid-May to late May, we might spice things up. I saw some long-range models like to late May and early June showing some favorable environment, but now still in the first week of May, so we might start talking about that later on. But just telling you, so stay safe.